What if you had a personal assistant who knew everything about every person in your team, could spot opportunities to match the right person to the right work, and helped you prep for every one-to-one in under 5 minutes? Today I'm going to show you how I've solved that problem by building a simple AI team assistant in Claude, and I'll walk you through it step by step. Back in my corporate days when I was managing large teams, oh my goodness, I would have loved an assistant like this because I spent so much time on admin. I viewed appraisals with dread. It was going to take up like a week of my life just prepping and doing and then writing up appraisals. One-on-one prep, I mainly did it on the fly because I just didn't have time. And I was permanently trying to remember who was good at what, sometimes missing opportunities to give people work they'd actually find fulfilling. In the daily pace of work, it is easy to end up on the back foot and in reactive management, relying on the same trusted team members instead of being more proactive and leading your team in a better way. You know what good team leadership looks like, but you just don't have the time to connect all the dots between people's aspirations, their strengths, and the work that needs doing. But imagine you had an AI assistant who could help you do all of this. Not replace the human conversations, that is definitely your job, but give you insight so that you can quickly see and match opportunities for delegation and development. Know where you need to focus next in order to not only ensure that you achieve your goals, but make sure your team do their best work. And as a result, they're going to see you as a brilliant leader. These are systems I've developed over 20 years. AI just makes them faster and sharper and means that you can spend more time on the quality bit, the talking, the coaching, and the leading. Now, here's the thing that people get wrong with AI. If you just start asking AI random questions about team management, it pulls up anything, generic, random, bland advice that really doesn't fit your situation. What you need to do is help it understand what's going on and who your team are. And then this acts like a filter. By creating a knowledge base first, AI becomes your personal team management assistant because it knows your people, your goals, and your context. This filter turns the responses into focused and valuable perspectives and reminders, and it works like a thinking partner. Now, I'm going to show you how to do this in Claude, but it's exactly the same approach in ChatGPT or Gemini. So these aren't new management principles because now, as ever, there are several key principles that you need when you manage your team. I would say the 3 pillars of effective team management are that you really need to know your people. You need to know their strengths, you need to know where they need to develop, and you really need to understand their aspirations and what they want to get out of that job. Next, you need to set super clear goals and objectives, both for the work that needs doing, but also helping them to set objectives for their personal growth. And you need to have consistent check-ins, regular progress reviews and support where you guide, you coach, and you unblock. Now, the key thing I've learned along the way is that the best managers don't separate getting the work done from developing people. They match work and experiences to give people fulfilling assignments that helps them achieve their objectives and grow their capabilities. And most managers fail because they're trying to do all of this in their head, and your brain just isn't designed to be a filing cabinet for 6 different people's career journeys, all your current projects, and working out how to connect the two. But AI can do this. What it does is amplify these proven systems, and it helps you see patterns faster, get more creative with development opportunities, and spend less time on the admin so that you can focus on the human conversations that actually matter. So let's get into how to create your own team AI assistant. The first thing you need to do is create a project. So I'm in Claude. Let me put my glasses on so that I can see what I'm doing. And I've created a new project called Team Management Assistant. Now, I've actually created a demo version so that I can really show you how it works. And I've built personas and so forth to demonstrate it at work. So here it is. The beauty of projects is that everything we put in here stays in the AI's memory. So it doesn't forget between conversations like regular Claude does. Now, the first thing to do is to give it instructions of what you want it to do. I've created some here, and the exact prompt I have actually updated in my AI-powered leadership guide. The link is below, so here it is. And as you can see, it talks about the role and the purpose, my management philosophy, how to respond. It gives us the key focus areas, what I'm asking it to do, development opportunity creation, pattern recognition, coaching, conversation prep. So all of this, my style, the important context about the team, and making sure that when I upload new information, it will automatically go in. Any red flags to watch for, and sample questions that it should help me answer. And I've just added at the end, remember, I want you to be a thinking partner, not just an information retrieval system. Help me see connections, opportunities, and solutions I might miss when I'm busy with my day-to-day management. Now I need to give Claude two key pieces of information. So this is the knowledge base, or the data that acts as the filter. And the first is what I call my AI guidebook. It's about me as a leader, what we're working for to achieve here. So here I have called it the Team Leader Guidebook. And secondly, I have created individual profiles for each team member. Now, because this is a demo, I've created as though this is a marketing team with all the people there, so a whole scenario. But why this is so important, because this is where it takes the systems I've learned through years of managing teams and you scale them with AI. And this transforms Claude from the generic assistant into your team management assistant that understands your world. Now, this takes a little time, but it's not a massive amount of time. You know, it took me originally, when I did this for the first time, about an hour, but it saves you so much time afterwards. So it's so worth it. This is what you have to put in the document. So the first is the Team Leader AI Guidebook. The first section is about my role and function. So here you describe your role and what your function is. The next section is the team vision and the current objectives. So this is where you share your vision for the team, what you're there to do, and then share your goals for the year and the current objectives. Now, I work in quarters, so you can share, if you do the same, you'd share the quarterly priorities. Section 3 is all about my management philosophy, or your management philosophy. And this is about how you like to work and lead and what's important to you and what do you believe in. Section 4 is the organizational context. So you would add in what your organization's there to do, any key strategies. Your company values are really important here. These describe the culture and the behavior of that your organization wants to see and are really important for assessing performance. You may describe policies such as whether you work hybrid, maybe you've got budget pressures that require efficiency, or training resources that you want the AI to know about. The more specific you are here, the better Claude becomes at understanding your context. Now, I know what you're thinking. This sounds like an awful lot of work and typing, but there is a really quick shortcut. It saves hours. I do most of this verbally. I record voice notes and ask Claude to summarize them. So I just copy the transcript into the doc and then attach any key documents such as objective templates to the knowledge base. Next, you need the information about each team member. And this isn't new work. This is clarity that you should already have as part of your people planning. And if you don't, that's where I would start. And the good news is you can voice note most of it and Claude will summarize it. Now, the core information to gather is the person's current role and responsibilities. So what are they accountable for? Then you want to capture their experience level and their background. What are they bringing to the team? Then you want to include their demonstrated strengths. What are they already good at? then their current challenges, so where may they be struggling with work, or what development area or skills are they working on. And then you want to capture their career aspirations, so where do they want to go from this role. And this is the input from your career conversations with them. And then what's their current workload and their projects that they're working on, what's on their plate right now. And then I would include any recent feedback or performance insights, peer feedback or stakeholder input that you know about, so that you have a good picture of the person that you're sharing with AI. The key really is to gather this information into a doc before adding it into the knowledge base. Now, I'm also a big fan of using a one-to-one doc template that builds over a quarter to capture your one-on-one discussions. And I explain how to do that in this video here. But if you do this, this is another brilliant doc to upload, as it's invaluable and will help you prepare for reviews, as it's a summary of all your discussions. Okay, let's move into how you're going to use this. Now, I'll go back to my demo version where I've created 5 team profiles for a marketing team. The first example is supporting you to prepare and write quarterly and annual performance reviews. So this is based straight from a quarter review process. And when it comes to prompts, I suggest keeping a database of your frequently used prompts so you can just cut and paste them in, as I've done here. Here's the quarterly review prompt. And this again is in the AI guide that you can get below, so that you've got that one to practice with. But essentially it goes through the process of a quarter review and the questions you should ask around what are the achievements, what specific contributions, the development progress. What we're asking the AI to do is look at the one-to-one notes. Now, I've put in a demo one-to-one note for Bob, one of the teams. So I've asked it to analyze their performance, and then we'll see what it comes out with. So here you go. This is how quickly it can pull everything together for you. And what we can see here is that it's immediately come through talking about what Bob's project execution excellence, what he's been doing, what he's been managing, his strategic development, what he's been working at in improving his professional growth. It's highlighted his areas for improvement, in this case, more confidence in his strategic contribution, encouraging more meeting participation. It's highlighting what support's needed, immediate support and development opportunities. And then it's looking forward into the next quarter's priorities. Now, this is here to help you. You now bring in your human judgment. Is this right? Is this how you see it? But what I have found in playing with it is just pulling from the data. So if you've put in good data, it will pull out excellent insights. And it's just so much quicker than thinking, now, what Bob did this quarter. And that's where I think it can make such a difference to you as a manager and speed up your thinking time so that you go into that quarterly review really prepared for a great conversation. The next example is thinking about delegating for work. For example, say that this is a marketing team, so you had a creative work assignment. So you would put in the prompt. We have a new brand strategy project coming up that needs someone with good stakeholder skills and strategic thinking potential. Based on my team profiles, who would be the best fit, and suggest 3 creative ways this could serve as a development opportunity. So that's the prompts. So they're suggesting various scenarios that Ben Thompson, who is the senior brand manager, would be a natural choice, but it's also looking at pairing Ben with somebody else or a mentorship chain development. So Ben leads with Bob as his deputy so that it could learn more. Then there's the cross-functional innovation team, so bringing together different members of the team. It does give a recommendation, but remember, this again would be your choice, your judgment of what you think the best thing is. But I just find it just gives you ideas that potentially when you're busy, you just would not thought about. And that is a really valuable input for a busy manager. The third example is pattern recognition. And you can do this when you are team and people planning. And what I'm asking the team assistant to do is look at all my team's recent development progress. What patterns do you see? What opportunities am I missing? See what it says. So what this one is highlighting is, for example, Ben's readiness signals. So what it's doing is looking at links with people that could build the whole team capabilities, cross-pollination between Bob and Blake. I don't always like the language. It has to be said. But the point is normally quite valid. Some of the language is a bit flowery and not really me. But you can work on this and train it to the kind of language that you want if you want. Patterns I'm most concerned about. You're developing people individually rather than systematically. Bob's success suggests your method works, but imagine the acceleration if Bella was mentoring his analytical thinking while he was teaching her presentation confidence. The team has complementary development needs that could solve each other's growth challenges. Now, I flipping love that, because I've coached people who have had that exact sudden recognition that they think it's all about them. And often the role of a leader is to connect people. You two help each other. Development doesn't happen in a hierarchy. And in the most high-performing teams, you will be, this cross-pollination, this helping each other learn is such a valuable thing. And many a manager would not have thought about this. And that's when I think this tool can just be absolutely amazing in helping your thinking and take the pressure off you to do everything. Now, the fourth example is as simple as coaching prep. For example, if we go back to the demo, that moment just before a one-to-one and you're getting your head in your coaching mindset. And one of the most common things that people say to me is, Helen, I just sometimes can't think of the questions. So this one helps. I'm meeting with Ben tomorrow. Based on his recent progress, career goals and current challenges, suggest 5 coaching questions that will help him reflect on his leadership development, plus 3 stretch opportunities I could offer. See what it comes up with. There you go. Coaching questions. When you look at digital transformation project success, what specific leadership behaviors did you use that you want to replicate in future strategic initiatives? Lovely, nice, broad question. Given that you've been approached by external headhunters, what would need to be true about a marketing director role here for you to choose us over external opportunities? Direct but necessary, says Claude as the AI assistant. So you see, it comes up with questions. And one of the stretch opportunities, a cross-functional innovation task force leadership, so giving leadership cross-functionally on a project rather than in a role to build up those skills. AI implementation champion role. And then it says why it works for Ben. It's addressing specific development gaps, builds on his strength, creates internal visibility. Again, it isn't that you couldn't think of these yourself. The point is that in the busy day today, it's hard sometimes just to bring these ideas to the surface fast. And you don't always have a lot of time. So that's where this assistant can massively help you. Now, once you've got this set up, there are so many ways you can use that in everything you do. You could use it for strategic team planning. Ask it to help you understand the team's development goals and any upcoming projects and suggest staffing approach that maximizes both business results and individual growth. You could use it for finding creative development opportunities for your team members. For example, you may have a team member who wants to develop strategic thinking. So ask, this person wants to develop strategic thinking beyond the obvious approaches. What creative development experience could I create using our current business challenges? You could use it for cross-team collaboration, asking it to look at your team's strengths and development areas, and then asking it with which teams and departments could you work to create some mutual development opportunities. You could use it for those more tricky conversations. For example, if you had a person who had plateaued in their role, you could say, Tom's performance has plateaued based on his profile and motivations. Suggest 3 different approaches to help him break through to the next level. The beauty is these are the same management principles I've always used, but AI helps me apply them faster, more creatively, and with better insights across my whole team. Now, this whole system plugs into the people management workflow that I teach within my Manager OS course. Manager OS is all about simple, scalable systems and routines that make sure that you stay on the front foot as a leader. The admin that used to take hours now takes minutes. The creative thinking that happened only occasionally now happens consistently. And that means more time for the real leadership work. I discovered these systems through years of trial and error in managing large teams, but with AI, you can implement them immediately and focus on what you became a manager to do, have meaningful conversations, coach people to grow, and create opportunities that excite and engage your team whilst delivering the results. So this is something you could start this week. Spend 20 minutes setting up your AI leadership guidebook profile using the framework I've shown you. And as I said, it only took me about an hour to have the whole thing set up. Create a Claude project or work in ChatGPT or Gemini and work at developing the profiles of your team. And then just test it with a few prompts that I've shown or quick questions like the coaching preparation or a development opportunity question. See what it says for you. Remember, this is an investment that pays off immediately. 1 hour now saves you countless hours of admin for months to come. And this isn't about replacing your judgment and skill as a leader. It's about amplifying the management systems that actually work so you can spend more time on the conversations, the coaching, and the leadership moments only you can provide. As I mentioned, I've documented the whole process in my newly updated AI-powered leadership guide, which you can get by clicking on the link below. If you want to know more about how systems and routines can help you accelerate your leadership impact, I'd watch this video next where I explain my whole system.